This is Eureka, Missouri, a small railroad town that is filled and surrounded by tons of hand-cut, volunteer-made mountain bike trails. Now, even though there are miles of great trails here, you'd be hard-pressed to find any progressive features like jumps, berms, or skinnies, which can really hinder the progression of local riders. Fortunately though, Eureka was able to change that this year. Through loads of conversations, volunteer hours, and donations, Eureka was actually able to hire a trail building company to build this place, the Eureka Mountain Bike Park. It has all the progressive features that were lacking from this area, like jumps, drops, and berms, but it's still missing features for kids and beginners who are just starting out. So that's where I'm coming in. In this video, we'll be building an entire kids and beginner section for this park, and I'm going to donate all the materials I used to do it. So let's go over the plan. The city gave us the go-ahead to build within this area here. So to make the most out of this spot, I flagged out 2 trails. One will be for very little kids on Strider type bikes, and the other will be for progressing kids and adults alike. In total, I'm going to construct 7 wooden features and sprinkle in some dirt ones for flow. I'll show you the process of how I build each feature so that you too can build your own mini bike park. So to start this build off, we are actually going to deconstruct the pump track or the rollers or whatever you want to call them. I don't use them anymore. I think they would get a lot more use at a kids mountain bike park where you can learn how to pump and get the feel of all that. And it's great for adults too. It's good for kids, whoever wants to figure out how to ride a pump track. Rollers disassembled and loaded up, I was just about ready to head over to the park. But first I wanted to prep some big 8-inch wide boards for assembling a small tabletop later. To do this, I used Seth's Bike Hack's method of simply bending a piece of wood to make a small smooth cut for a radius. I did this for both the jump and the landing. Now, normally I would do a bunch of math to find the perfect radius and all that, but when it comes to tiny kickers like this, all that stuff doesn't matter too much. Cool. Let's get these to the park. With the rollers there, I finally had everything I needed to get started, and luckily I had some help the day before because there was a lot of wood to be unloaded. Now, as usual, I had to spend a day peeling bark off of cedar logs, because if you don't, you get these little worm guys and other bugs trying to burrow into the wood. But after I had all that taken care of, I started on the first feature, a small drop for Strider bikes. This first drop is meant for total beginners and the littlest of kids. It's only about 6 inches tall, and I used a log for an easy rollable lip. The rebar I drove into the ground is just an extra precaution for keeping the feature in place. Just like that, I had the first feature done, and 6 more to go. Which brings us to our next feature, a small A-frame design, again for Strider bikes. For these smaller features, I really liked using the nice thick logs for the base and just tagging them into the ground. They were quick to make, perfect for little features, and I think it looks pretty nice with the logs too. Got the kids section done up there, the really small like Strider bike type stuff. Now we can start to get a little bit bigger. Once you come off that smaller drop that we made, it's gonna take you into these rollers, the ones from my house, from the wooden pump track. This is what we brought them out here for. So essentially all we gotta do for here is plot the points for where our posts will go, and then we'll tie everything into those points where those posts are, and then deck it. So again, not so hard, but also still takes a bit of time. rollers are going to be awesome to have as the feature that leads into what we're building next. The drop zone. Here we're building 4 lines, 3 of which will be progressively taller drops, and the last line will take you down to a wooden tabletop that we already cut boards for. We'll start on the smallest drop first though. I spotted this huge stump in the ground and figured it would be a great spot for it. If you're counting, that is 4 out of the 7 features done. Next up, I got the hardest drop taken care of.
So nice, I love that.
The intermediate drop was built just like the hardest drop, except for one thing. I found a bunch of sandstone rocks in the woods and decided to put together a rock surface approach for it. This way, each drop had a different look coming into it.
Today we are out here, and right now I just want to get that wooden tabletop set up. I'm running out of time, so let's get to it.
Working on the tabletop, I started to have volunteers show up to offer some help. So while I was finishing up, I had everyone start to connect the features by cutting in the trail I flagged out. I planned to put a layer of minus rock on top of the whole trail, so it's good to get all that organic material like grass out of the way for better compaction. The next day, I spent finishing up the tabletop and benching in the rest of the trail that didn't get finished so that it would be ready to get topped with screenings. What screenings? This is screenings. Actually, this is 23 tons of screenings, and I'm about to spread all of it by hand.
Of the universe inside of me, help me beat the shit out of my ego, please.
Now, 2 very cool things started to happen as I was connecting the trails. The first being, kids were already stoked to start riding the one feature I had finished, which was amazing to see. And the second cool thing was volunteers started showing up again, which led to getting us over halfway done with the trails, and it saved me from having to get back surgery. Volunteers' help, we had the drop zone totally finished so that all I had to do was run the plate compactor over it, and then we could start on the trails up top. I can happily tell you, thanks to the volunteers' help that came out on this day, especially Jay and Wes, I was finally able to wrap up the mini bike park. After adding in a few additional features like rollers and a dual level starting ramp, it was finally time to invite people out to test the trails. And honestly, we probably got around 50 plus kids and adults to shred the trails, all varying skill levels and bike types. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, SimpliSafe. Now, I'm normally working from home, so I don't have to think about home security all that much, but while I was away on this project, I might have been concerned if it weren't for SimpliSafe. Thanks to them, it wasn't even something on my mind because of all the cool stuff they offer, like this base station which communicates the house's status,
SimpliSafe on,
and connects with all of the equipment I have set up, like glass shattering detection, motion sensors, HD cameras, entry sensors, and my all-time favorite thing, this keypad lock combo. It took me about 4 minutes to set this up, and now with the click of a button, I can lock and unlock my house
alarm off,
instead of fumbling through my keys when I get home, or walk over to the keypad before going to bed and hit a single button to lock up the whole house. So if you want to join me in having easy to use, easy to set up, and reliable home security, head on over to simplisafe.com/backyardtrailbuilds, and they're going to give you 30% off your system plus a free camera. Thank you, SimpliSafe. Let's get to riding.
SimpliSafe on.
How about no bug? That's a giant drop. That's bigger than you.
Ajá. Suenan los tambores. Ajá. Escucha ahora, el tambor te llama y está llamando con sentimiento y manana. Y están llegando todos los rumberos y de lengua están sonando los cueros. Y ay, qué rico está sonando mi rumba. Y ay, qué rico está sonando mi son. Me lo voy a llevar hasta la tumba. Y ahora yo te invito a mi fiestón. Eso rompe los cueros, suenan los tambores. Llegó la hora para olvidar los dolores. H Lukumi, H Olofi, H para todos los señoras y señores. Y ay, qué rico está sonando mi rumba. Y ay, qué rico está sonando mi son. Y lo voy a llevar hasta la tumba. Y ahora yo te invito a mi fiestón. Y ahora yo te invito a mi fiestón. ¡Ay!
The opening day for the bike park could not have gone better. We had Strider bikes, unicycles, 3-year-olds, YouTubers, brand new riders, skilled shredders, and everything in between. This goes down as my most fulfilling build yet, for sure. And I really want to thank everyone who came out to enjoy what I made, because it made every bit of labor worth it once I witnessed all the kids and adults alike enjoying what was created. Thank you all for watching. A huge thank you to Gort Gravity for making this build possible. A huge thank you to my patrons as well for helping make it possible for me to donate all the materials and time for this project. You guys rock. I'm itching to get back to the subscriber trail so we can start a new one that's public like this. So let's build some more stuff next week. I'll see you then.